Hey guys, it's Lane with Tim's Nation. I'm here today to talk to you about the DeathWatch army I'm bringing up against DJ's Grey Knights. Now, I've made some adjustments to my DeathWatch. I've really liked how they've performed up until this point, but every time I get settled into a good list, GW comes around and nerfs something. So first they nerf our ability to use the strats for weapons on dev wounds before they even released 10th edition, and then they nerfed our strats, and now they've nerfed Oath of Moment. So it's been a ride for DeathWatch players. But I'm happy with the list I built here. This will be the first time I've run it. So I'm going to be testing out some new ideas. Basically just trying to avoid, or not avoid, but work around the no wound rerolls for Oath. So I need to find other ways to do more reliable damage without relying on rerolling wounds. Early in the edition, I was using a lot of Terminators in both the kill teams, in the Proteus kill teams, and in the standalone Terminator squads. I was using those because the Cyclone missiles with the extra AP from the strat and rerolling wounds because of Oath of Moment were really strong into basically any targets. They would be great into vehicles, great into heavy, elite infantry, and switching the frag missiles, they'd be great into hordes. So they were super useful, but they've just been nerfed so many ways. Point increases, now you can't use strats on them, and now they can't reroll wounds, making them less effective into vehicles, because remember the crack missiles are only strength 9. So today's list has some old favorites in it. The Indomitor kill teams, which I'm really liking. Got a couple Gladiator Lancers, but we've also got some new things we're using. I dropped the Hail Strike Speeder. I was a fan of the fact that the Hail Strike Speeder was 130 points. It could deep strike at a 14-inch move, so it could get around the board, and it could take, or it can add extra AP to a target. Well, they nerfed its ability, so I pulled it out of the list because now it can only affect infantry targets. So, or non-vehicle, non-monster targets. So it's not useful against vehicles or monsters. The Hail Strike Speeder lost some of its abilities. So I actually put in one of the other speeders. I actually have 2 speeders in this list today. We'll see if they help out. But let's get into the list together, go through this as DeathWatch. They're all built now, ready for the fact that Oaths of Moment do not let you reroll wounds. So let me show you what we've got. All right, guys, this is DeathWatch, the Black Spear Task Force, which means I've got my DeathWatch strats. They're really only good for infantry units and really only good for bolters, although the Teleportarium strat, allowing me to pick up the 2 kill teams and redeploy them, is super strong. But the Black Spear Task Force for DeathWatch, the mission ability, I have 3 mission tactics. I can choose one of them once per game. I choose in my command phase, and then it'll last until my next command phase. So once per game, I can give the whole army lethal hits, whole army, shooting and fighting. Once per game, I can give the whole army sustained hits, shooting and fighting. And once per army, all 6s to hit, or once per game, all 6s to hit become precision, both shooting and fighting. Now, when it comes to characters, today I have what feels to me, for a Lane DeLong Warhammer list, feels like way too many characters, because I do in fact have 5 characters. And I try to find ways to squeeze it down, because I usually don't like the run so character heavy, but the Biologist Apothecaries are just too good, guys. So what we have today is 1 captain, captain in Gravis armor with the Mastercrafted bolt rifle. We've got 3 Apothecary Biologi and 1 Calidus Assassin. So 5 characters. The Apothecaries, those are all Apothecary Biologists, guys. I don't care what you're looking at when you look at the screen there. It's definitely not a 3rd edition metal Apothecary model on a 40mm base. That's not what you're looking at. Nope, they're all Apothecary Biologi. But I've got a couple enhancements on these characters. So first of all, I have to take the captain in order to use the Tome of Ectoclades. Now, Tome of Ectoclades has not been nerfed due to the nerfing to Oath of Moment. I always referred to the Tome of Ectoclades as letting me pick 2 Oath of Moment targets once per game. However, what it really states is that once per game, after I have chosen an Oath of Moment target, I can choose a second target, and the wording is that I can reroll all hits and wounds to that second target. So it doesn't say a second Oath target. It says a second target that I can reroll all hits and wounds. So once per game, I'll get good old school Oath on one target while still having rerolling hit Oath on another target. And like I said, that enhancement can only go on a captain or watchmaster, so I have to take the captain. So captains in the list here, we've got 3 of the biologists. One of the biologists is, and we'll say it's the actual biologist model, just to the point of clarity. He has the, just forgot what it was. The teleport enhancement. So the Beacon Angelus. And what it does is it means his unit can A, deep strike, not just come in from reserves, but true deep strike, and B, they can use the rapid ingress stratagem for free. So that Apothecary Biologist is going to be going with the Eradicator squad. That way I'll have a 6-man Eradicator squad that doesn't just come in from reserve, but can actually truly deep strike. Because I found sometimes with this GW layout of terrain for 10th edition, sometimes when you bring things in from reserve, they just don't get good eyes on a target. And the Eradicators have a somewhat limited range. They're only 18 inches. So first of all, being able to deep strike with them will be extremely powerful. And second of all, I can rapid ingress, perhaps behind some terrain, and then in my turn, they can move into closer range and actually get within 9 inches to be within Melto range to actually really light up a target. So we'll see if that comes into play. And of course, the Biologist gives the Eradicators that lethal hit ability as well. Then we've got 2 other Biologists. We're going to say the old school metal one with the chainsword has got the enhancement Thief of Secrets. This is just an extra couple of points that I had laying around that I squeezed in here. Basically gives his combat weapon, which is just a basic combat punch, gives it 1 extra strength, 1 extra AP, and 1 extra damage. And if he kills a model at any point during the game, he actually will bump that up to 2 extra strength, 2 extra AP, and 2 extra damage. So we'll see if that comes into play at all. Like I said, I just had the points for it, so we squeezed that in. Of course, the other 2 Biologi are going to be riding with the Indomitor kill teams because they are Gravis Armor kill teams. And then we've got the good old Calidus Assassin. I've tried playing without the Calidus, and man, just her ability to pick up and drop down every turn is so strong. Combining that with Lone Operative. Now, Lone Operative is not going to be great today. Playing against Grey Knights, which have the ability to redeploy and deep strike all day long. So if he wants to kill that Calidus, he's probably going to be able to. So I'm going to try to pop off her Vect, her ability to make a stratagem more expensive, as quickly as possible, because she might not last very long. With so many units, they have the ability to deep strike and get close and target her. So those are the characters. God, that's a lot of talk about characters for me, guys. So 2 of the Indomitor kill teams today. The Indomitor kill teams are the ones that are in Gravis Armor. So all these guys are T6, 3 wounds, 3 up armor. The Indomitors allow me to take up to 2 Inceptors. So I got 2 Bolter Inceptors in each of these lists, in each of these squads. The Bolter Inceptors get 3 shots, but they're sustained 2. And they are twin links, so they get to re-roll their wounds. Their strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. So they can put out a fair amount of damage, especially once they've got lethal hits from having a Biologist in there. 2 of the Aggressors. The Aggressors' Boltstorm Gauntlets are also twin links, so they still get to re-roll wounds as well. And of course, they have the D6 Blast grenade launchers on them. We've got 1 Eradicator. Now, this is something that's not 100% WYSIWYG in my list, guys. Not every single model is ready to go yet. So, because I need a few more Eradicators with multi-meltas. There is 1 Eradicator in each of the Indomitor kill teams. This is just represented by an Eradicator model with a Melta rifle, but these are actually be used in-game as multi-meltas because I can have 1 multi-melta in the squad, so we're using them as multi-meltas today. Then we've got 5 Heavy Intercessors. Because these are 10-man squads, I can take 2 Heavy Bolters. I built these guys back in 9th edition when you had to pay extra points for the Heavy Bolters, so I do not have the actual Heavy Bolters on these. So for one squad, the 2 guys with no helmets will have the Heavy Bolters, and then the other squad, 2 guys with red shoulder pads will have Heavy Bolters. At some point here, I'll get some actual Heavy Bolter, Heavy Intercessors built up. But yeah, the 2 Indomitor kill teams can make use of the stratagems that either increase their AP or make them anti-infantry 2 up, or let them ignore cover. And for 1 CP, I can teleport both of these units at the end of my opponent's turn and drop them in and do some work with them. Then there's special rules that when they are reduced below full strength, so when they lose a guy, they get +1 to hit. And when they have gotten below half strength, they get +1 to wound. At the beginning when I started playing these, I was actually using it when my target was below those things. But no, the actual wording is when this unit, when the Indomitor kill teams get below full strength, they get +1 to hit, and when they get below half strength, then they get +1 to wound. Next, we've got 2 3-man squads of Plasma Inceptors. Shouldn't be a surprise here. This is a competitive list, and so I'm bringing the Inceptors that can drop in real close. They deep strike just a mere 3 inches away, and the Plasma Inceptors can do some work. They still have twin links, so they do reroll their wounds, regardless of Oath of Moment or not. And with their when you overcharge them, they can put out a fair amount of damage. Strength 8, AP 3, 3 damage, rerolling those wounds. They can get some work done. I'm running some Eradicators today. I haven't really been taking Eradicators as a standalone squad much this edition, but their special rule lets them, of course, reroll all hits, all wounds, and all damage against vehicles or monsters. So they don't need Oath of Moment to do their work. So again, they'll be accompanied by the Biologist Apothecary that has the Beacon Angelus. So they're going to be able to deep strike or rapid ingress for free. Next, we got 2 of the Gladiator Lancers. Again, these guys can reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, and 1 damage roll, which means they are less likely to need Oath of Moment to get some work done. Guns are high AP. The big Lascans have a 72-inch range. And a lot of smaller shots because I'm going into Grey Knights today, and basically everything has 2-up armor. The Storm Bolters are probably not going to do a whole lot of work, but they might contribute, maybe pick up a guy here and there. And that's right. Then today I've got 2 speeders. As I said, I dropped the Hail Strike speeder. Fortunately, when I built my Hail Strike, I magnetized it, so I was able to swap out a couple of the guns. So now we have the Storm Speeder Hammer Strike is the one that's on the flight stand here. It's got a Melta Destroyer, so it gets 3 Melta shots. You know, it's 18-inch range, strength 9, AP 4, D6 damage. It's got 2 Crackstorm grenade launchers, strength 9, AP 1, D3 damage, and 2 Hammer Strike missile shots, strength 9, AP 3, D6 damage. So it actually puts out a fair amount of really high-quality shots that'll do some work into, even if not vehicles being only strength 9, they'll definitely do work into elite infantry. And the extra AP and damage just means they'll be able to pick up some of these Grey Knight infantry pretty well. Now, its special rule is after it's shot, I pick one of the units that was hit by its shooting, and the rest of my army can ignore cover on that. So that's not bound to a specific type like vehicle or infantry, so that's what makes it a little bit better than the Hail Strike. Although there are certainly times when I won't need to ignore cover. In 10th edition, everybody's in cover all the time. So this will be helpful to give me a little extra pump. And it's actually, it hits a lot harder than the Hail Strike does, of course. Those shots are pretty solid. And it's only 20 points more. So I definitely feel like it's going to have the value. This is the first time I'm running it. We'll see how it does today. And then the other speeder is the Storm Speeder Thunderstrike. This one gives me +1 to wound against vehicles. So it has a decent shooting profile, and after it shoots either a vehicle or monster, the rest of my army gets +1 to wound against that vehicle or monster. So this is how I'm really gonna pair this speeder with the deep striking Eradicators. Eradicators are great in every way except they're strength 9. So against most hard targets that are T10 or higher, they're still wounding on 5s. Even if they get wound rerolls against vehicles and monsters, still wounding on 5s can be very swingy. So the Thunderstrike is going to give me +1 to wound. So the idea is the Thunderstrike and the Eradicators deep strike together. Thunderstrike is going to tag something like maybe a Land Raider. And now those Eradicators are going to be wounding on 4s with the full rerolls, which means they should be a lot more potent and have a much higher success rate when getting those wounds through. This model was a salvage. I bought this off of eBay. Had to soak him in water for a while to take off some ultramarine decals. Painted up nice, but he did not come with a flight stand. So if it ever comes down to it in this game, guys, if we're trying to see if DJ can have line of sight, I'll just hold it up to a similar height that the other speeder is at to make sure that we're playing fair with visibility. But I haven't quite finished getting him up on a flight stand of some sort. I'm going to have to come up with one, I guess, hobby one, convert one onto him, and then finish the base as well. But like I said, he'll be out there on the table. He'll be deep striking with the Eradicators and hopefully make short work of a vehicle. All right, guys, that is the Death Watch for today. As you can see, we've got some old favorites in here, and we've got a few new things that we're trying out. And 5 characters. I usually try to run as few characters as possible, but I just had to have the Biologist apothecaries and the 2 Indomitor kill teams to make them work, because they're not re-rolling wounds. I have to go for the lethal hits on those to kind of make all their bolters do the work. And then I needed one for the Eradicators because I needed the Beacon Angelus enhancement, and I couldn't put the captain with the Eradicators because his Beacon Angelus enhancement couldn't go on the captain because I needed the captain for Tome of Ectoclades. So I needed at least 4 characters, and then, I mean, the Calidus, you can't leave home without her. So this, I'm excited to try it out against a tough army, a tough bouncy army like the Grey Knights. We'll see how they do to them. I feel like today is going to be a real race. DJ is going to try and score as many points as quickly as he can, and I'm going to try to kill him as fast as I can. We'll see who comes out ahead in that game. I feel like this army hits really hard and will probably shred through Grey Knights pretty quickly, as long as I can kind of avoid the first attack by his purifiers into my infantry squads. If I can kind of endure that first attack, I will slap back really hard, and I should be able to shred most of the vehicles and infantry pretty quickly. But he's going to have a tremendous scoring ability, so the question is, will I be able to kill him fast enough to slow down his scoring so I can get ahead? I don't know. You're going to have to follow me over to the battle report and see how we do. So let's go take a look at it, guys. Come over, watch the battle, and see how the DeathWatch perform.